Hello everyone, I'm here today to do my mid-year freakout tag, book tag, whatever. And there's many versions of this, and I think I have done this before, and I have adapted this and chosen the questions that I think are more relevant to my reading and I have something to say about. So this might be a little bit shorter than the standard book tag that you can find in other places, but we're gonna run with it. So the first question is the best book that you have read so far, and I kind of have two answers for this because I think my best book of the year so far is Bariding Sweetgrass by Kimmerer, which is a reread for me. I love this author, I love this book. It's so insightful about the way we interact with nature and the way that maybe we can change our mindset. So she's Native American, and she talks a lot about how Native American culture treats nature as part of themselves and as part of the conscious beings around them, and how they feel grateful for nature to be there and help them survive, and how that culture of gratitude rather than culture of consumerism and capitalism helps people actually value things rather than take them for granted. And so yeah, I love this book, but it's a reread. So any new books from this year that I really enjoyed, I will take Your Wish is My Command by Dina Mohammed. This is a graphic novel. I normally don't read graphic novels, but this one really did have an impact on me. It is about a world in which actual wishes exist in bottles, and there are different grades of wishes, and so the first grade wishes are very looked on after and very expensive, and this book follows a shop owner that has three first grade wishes that he's selling, and so we follow the different people that buy those wishes and how they use them, and it deals with a lot of very strong topics. This is set in Egypt, and so the first story deals with a woman that is very poor, but she works really hard to buy this wish because she really wants to have that for a specific reason, and then she is thrown in jail because the government decides that she could not possibly afford it, and so she stole it, and stealing wishes is a very bad crime, and blah blah blah. And so we follow all the corruption in the government, in the Egyptian government. We follow poverty and class dynamics and all those kind of things. The second story is about a rich boy that is very depressed. He's a university student and he's struggling with depression, and he doesn't know how to get out of it. So he buys this wish hoping that will solve it, but then he realizes that he needs to know what he needs before he can use the wish to get better. And so he goes into all this inner exploration to find what is going on with him. And we also see how mental health is treated in Egypt, which is not very kindly, and so that is a whole other topic of conversation. And then the third wish, nobody seems to want to buy, and so the shop owner doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't want to use it because of religious reasons, and then something happens and he decides he wants to use it for that one purpose, but then that purpose is to help a friend of him that she is in a dire situation, but she doesn't want to be helped. And then we go back in history and see both the story of the shopkeeper and the friend, and we see a lot of things in the past, like colonialism, like war, like all kinds of really difficult topics. And I think it's so deep and it's doing such a good job at addressing so many issues, and yeah, I just really found it really really powerful. This is some of the art as well. It's really nice. So yeah, I think this might be my favorite first read of the year. Then the second question is the best sequel you have read this year. I think I have only read one sequel, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. And I really liked it. Those books are a lot of fun. That's why I read them. But yeah, I don't have that much more to say about it. They are fun. And I enjoyed it. Then the next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to, and that has to be Doppelgänger by Naomi Klein. So that actually came out I think last year in hardback, but I have been waiting for the paperback since, and it came out in the 6th of June, so that is about 3 weeks now. I had pre-ordered it and then my copy got lost in the mail, so I am waiting for the replacement copy, and you bet the moment that book arrives I'm gonna read it because I am so excited for it. Then the next question is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. I don't know if this counts, but I really want to read Shadows at Noon by Joya Chatterji, which if you haven't noticed, I have been really enjoying Women's Non-Fiction Prize this year, and these are some of them, but this one has come out, but it's going to come out in paperback in July, and I am really excited for it as well. I have also pre-ordered it. I never pre-order things, and then all of a sudden this year I have pre-ordered like 3 or 4 books, but yeah, this one I am really excited for. It sounds really good. It's about the history of the Indian continent, the recent history, and I think it's very comprehensive and it has a new lens, so I'm really looking forward to that, because I have read a fair amount of books in that area, but I think this one is a little bit more comprehensive and a little bit more complete, so I'm really looking forward to that. Then the next question is the biggest disappointment, and I think that one will have to be Intervals by Marianne and Brooker. This one is again a non-fiction from the Women's Prize, you guessed. But yeah, this one is about a daughter and a mother. The mother has Alzheimer's and she decides that she doesn't want to, I think it's Alzheimer's, some degenerative disease like that, and she decides she doesn't want to go through all the pain and the struggle of it, and so she decides she's gonna stop eating and die out of starvation basically, and we follow the daughter in the last 3 weeks of her mom's life since she decides that she's not gonna eat, like dealing with the loss and like taking care of her and the like wanting to stop it but not wanting to stop it because it's against her mom's wishes, and I thought it was going to be really good. It sounded really good, but basically the daughter sounds so pretentious. She's just name dropping things and quotes from famous authors while her mom is dying next to her, and I just felt like that was not realistic, and that was not the way that most people will react when their parent is dying next to them, to think about philosophical quotes of famous authors. So it just felt like very pretentious and very showy and not really honest. So yeah, I was very disappointed by it. Then the next one is the biggest surprise, like in a good way. And I think that for me would be Osebol by Marit Kapla. I was not sure what to expect of this. So this is subtitles Voices from a Swedish Village, and so I thought it was going to be about rural life in Sweden, and it's really big, and I was like, I don't want to read 800 pages of farmers farming and gossiping about each other, but it's not like that at all. This is very political and it's very settled on impacting society as a bigger picture, which I was not expecting, and I was really very surprised by. It's written in a very like poetic way, so even though it's 100 pages, it's probably like the amount of words that you will have on a 300-page book. and it's organized. I think the author had interviews with people from Osebo, which is where she is from, and they are kind of organized in like the people. So each interview has like a section. I have these dots at the beginning of each chapter, which is like the houses in Osebo, and one of them, so in this case it's this one here, it's a little bit darker, and that's the house where the story is from. And they talk about the aging population in the rural areas. They talk about the inaccessibility of many services like schools and hospitals, even though a lot of people need hospitals because they are getting old. About how people are becoming more and more disconnected from the rural areas. About how some people still find them calming and they want to live there even though it's harder. About the lack of opportunities for jobs, about the immigration, and like how many times refugees are put in a refugee camp in the middle of nowhere, and the rural community around it is supposed to deal with it. All kinds of things that I was not expecting, and I really enjoyed this. This is also one of my favorite books of the year so far. Then the next question is new favorite author, and I'm not sure if this counts, but it's the only one that came up to mind, and that's Claudia Pinheiro. So I read Elena Knows last year, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was brilliant. And then this year I read A Little Luck, and I also really enjoyed it. I think even maybe more than Elena Knows, I'm not sure, but I really enjoy her. So I have bought another of her books, and I'm really looking forward to read more from her because I think she's brilliant. The only reason I haven't gotten so many is because I want to read them in Spanish because that's the original, and so in the Netherlands it's harder for me to get them. So my plan is every time I go to Spain I will buy one and read it. But yeah, I think she's becoming one of my favorite authors. The next question is a book that made you cry, and I think that would have to be Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. This was so powerful and so impactful, and I think it's like this, how you read this book heavily depends on your life experience. It's about a mother, like the internal monologue of a mother, from when she has a very small baby up to when he's 3 years old, and all the conflicting feelings of motherhood. I have seen a lot of people say that she seems to have depression and she seems to be too harsh on her husband. My experience is not that. I think for me, it is just how you feel sometimes when you have a child. It's overwhelming and it is really hard, and really hard work, and it's often it often disconnects you from your partner more than you think, and so it felt very true to me. This book, the ending was not what I expected, and that took away a little bit from the book, but overall I think the experience of reading it is something that everyone should experience, even if they are not parents, but especially if they're parents, and especially if they are not the primary carer of children, because I think there are aspects of it that you only understand when you have taken sole responsibility for a child for a really long time. So yeah, this makes me cry, and thinking about it still makes me feel emotional. So yeah, definitely this one. Then the next question is a book that made you happy, and for this I have written down True Beast by Sara Novic. So this is it's an YA about a group of teenagers that are deaf, and they go to a deaf school. And so there is Charlie, she's new in the school and she has an implant so she can hear some stuff. Then she was going to like normal school, and at some point her dad decides that maybe she will benefit from going to deaf school. There is another boy, I think it was called Arthur or Anthony or something like that, and he is the child of deaf parents and he's deaf himself, and so he has always been in the deaf community, and it just tries to build this sense of solidarity within the deaf community, which seems like such a cool community to be part of. I mean, not that it's easy, obviously being deaf is not easy, but it seems like a very supportive community, and a community that is able to empower the people within them. And I thought it just made me happy, and it made me want to know more about the deaf community and how it could be, how to be an ally, or how to be more respectful and more aware of the way that other people might perceive the world when they are deaf. And I even hesitate to call deafness a disability, even though in the world that we live in it is definitely a disability. It is because we live in the world that we live in, I think. And it talks a lot about how actually like sign language is in many ways superior to like spoken language, and I can see that, and it's just like very fascinating, and yeah, it made me happy in a weird way. And then the last question that I have in my list is a book that you really need to read by the end of the year, and that would be The 40 Rules of Love by Elif Shafak. So every year before the year starts, I make a list of the books that are on my TBR, and my goal is to read all of those books before the end of the following year. So at the moment I'm reading through all the books that were in my TBR in 2023, and this is the last of them. So I want to read it before 2024 is over. I'm quite proud that this is the only one that is left after half of the year, and I'm sure I would find time to get through it. But yeah, I do have to read this one, and I do want to read this one. I really like Elif Shafak. I think she has something about her books that I really enjoy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. And yeah, that's all the books that I wanted to talk about today. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what your mid-year best books of the year have been so far. If you have any other goals that you have to get by the end of the year. And until next video, bye!